righty. Good afternoon, everybody. This is For the Win, your fantasy football podcast. Dylan, how'd your week go?
Good so far. It's been good.
I'm glad. Mine was not so great, and we're going to dive into all that and much more on this episode of For the Win, your fantasy football podcast or show. Let's jump into it. New intro, by the way. Here we go. Yes, it's still a work in progress, but it's a start. So let's know what you think of the new intro, or part of the new intro. In the comments here. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're watching, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. My name is Brandon. That's Dylan over there. A disappointed Bears fan right now.
Yeah,
just a little bit. It's okay though. It's okay. It could be worse. Never mind. It's pretty bad.
No, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad with everything that's happened the past couple of days. Well, yesterday, basically everything happened yesterday.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's not too many. I know one of the episodes earlier in the year or earlier in the season, we talked about DJ Moore and how he could be that next guy for that wide receiver guy for you. It's not looking that. It's not looking that way.
But it's still not enough, though. It's still not enough. Everyone's like, "Oh, Justin Fields should be doing better." He has one guy. That's it. I just want to say this. Did you know between both games, right? So they played 2 games going to week 3.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So there's 3 quarterbacks in all of NFL history, 3 that have ran for over 1,000 yards. Can you name those for me?
Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields. 3
in all of NFL history since it's been around. Only 3 QBs have ran for 1,000 yards. So I'm not going to compare him to like Lamar Jackson or any of these other QBs, but by comparison, he is the same product as a Jalen Hurts or a not an old Russell Wilson, like a young Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. These are all guys who use their feet, right? Get out of the pocket, yada, yada, yada. Between 2 games, all right, because I follow a bunch of Bears pages, and everyone is crucifying Justin Fields. Yeah. Now, he has had some very poor plays, missing wide open receivers and holding onto the ball too long. So, yes, he is part of the problem. But between 2 games, they have called 5 designed QB runs. Designed means like him actually, like that's the play, him running the ball. 5. They've called 5 over 2 games. That's it.
Not a lot.
No, you're basically taking away his biggest strength. Yeah. Like basically, so they did an interview with Justin Fields yesterday, and they did an interview with Luke Getsky today. Basically, Luke said, "Well, this is what an NFL QB is. We're making him into an NFL QB." Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about you, but over the past couple years, QBs in the NFL are evolving to dual threat. It's not just standing in the pocket and throwing anymore. That is a big part of it, but you have to be able to use your feet as well. So there's a lot of – I don't want to get too much into it, but there's just a lot of issues there. He blamed Justin Fields blamed the coaching yesterday. I would say it's 60-40, 60% coaching fault, 40% right now.
He recited his statement and said, "No, it's really his fault. Like it's really Justin."
Yeah, because they told him to.
Yeah.
But if you, I watched First Take, I've watched The Herd, I've watched Get Up. Like this morning, Get Up, Mike Greeny or is that the last?
I think that's what it is.
He crucified the Bears this morning. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith crucified the Bears. Basically said it is coaching. Like this is a guy who coached Aaron Rodgers, like was his offensive coordinator, and he's trying to do the same thing with Justin Fields, and they are not the same QB whatsoever.
Not quite.
Not even remotely close. They have 2 different play styles. So there's a lot of issues going on in that right now, and it's got to get figured out. Otherwise, it's going to be poor.
So you talk about Justin Fields real quick. I had him in a double quarterback league that I'm in. So it's a 2 QB league. I dropped him the other day and picked up. I think he is now the 3rd or 4th highest passing quarterback or has the most passing yards in the league right now, and that's C.J. Stroud.
Well, they can't do anything else but throw the ball right now. So
Yeah, Nico Collins is turning
he's
out
having
to
a,
be a beast.
yeah, he's having a good year so far this
Yeah,
year. Between
which
two
is
games,
awesome.
2 games.
2 games. Hey, that's 2 games. 2 games.
Everybody's
2
judging
games.
people on 2 games. I'm
2
just
games. 2 games. Hey, you're right. You're
saying.
right. You're right. So,
But I would say
looking at
that if Justin Fields, a lot of people are wondering like if he'll be gone at the end of the year.
yeah,
I would say if he doesn't start improving his play, whether it's a coaching issue or not, I
right.
would say probably everybody's gone. I would say the
That's
Bears probably dropped a new QB. I would say Matt Elbrus. I would say he's probably gone. I would say Luke Getsky. He's definitely on the hot seat right now. I would say there's a lot of this game coming up, this week 3 game against the Chiefs. I would say there's a lot riding on this
it's gonna be
for
rough.
a lot of people. I mean, even if we don't win, like there needs to be some improved play. I feel like there's a lot riding on this game for Justin and Luke Getsky.
Yes,
Like
something needs to happen.
just play good.
Yeah.
That's all people want to see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Where's it going with this? Our dynasty team did not do so well
We
this
lose.
past week. It wasn't awful. I mean, it was a closer game than it probably should have been. Again, Foda played some guys that looking at matchups and stuff. Nico Collins sat on our bench, so that's an unfortunate thing. And I'm trying to get it to load. It's taking forever to load, but there's a lot of injuries piling up this week.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of injuries. There's a possibility Brandon Ayuk isn't going to play tomorrow or play tonight because they played their game tonight, San Francisco, New York. It's not like there's a very good chance he's not going to play. Joe Burrow possibly might not play. Jalen Waddle doesn't sound like he's going to play. Bryce Young doesn't sound like he's going to play, which he doesn't really impact a lot of fantasy teams right now anyways. Who else is there? There's some others.
Nick Chubb is obviously done for the season.
Obviously,
he's done for the season.
His knee is still in shredded pieces. So, DeAndre Hopkins for our team is questionable as well. So we're looking at injuries and stuff like that. What are some guys that you might be able to pick up? Even Puka. He's questionable for this weekend. And obviously it's still Thursday, so there's still time to recover, time to rest. Most of these guys will probably play, a good chunk of them. But we're looking at lineups and stuff for this week. What guys stick out in the wave? Most waiver wires are passed already. What guys stand out to you when it comes to picking up on the waiver wire this week?
I mean, I would say he's probably already gone.
More than likely.
Like Atwell. Tutu Atwell, I think is his name.
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely a guy. A lot of people have been sleeping on him because of Puka, but in PPR leagues, the very first week he got 17.9, and last week he got 15.2 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's someone I would look at. I mean, I'm assuming he's already gone.
Yeah.
But in one of my leagues, like someone picked up Puka but left Atwell, so I grabbed him. Yeah. So because everyone's been so focused on Puka, but Atwell's he's had himself a nice little game for 2 weeks.
Yeah, he was 32 points last week.
So
is that what he ended up with?
Yeah, he's had
30 points, 21 and 30 points, 21 game against Seattle, 30-point game against San Francisco, and then they're playing a Cincinnati team that's just not very. It's not very good right now on Monday night.
Agreed. Kareem Hunt, if you haven't snagged him, that's probably someone I would try to grab. I know they said
probably not going to play this week.
Whoever,
he's
going to be the lead back, but I would say that'll probably change whenever Kareem Hunt does start, because we all know what he was in Kansas City and what he was the last couple years with the Browns. Even sharing carries with Nick Chubb, like anytime he touched the ball, he looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say before the end of the year, Kareem Hunt will probably be the lead back.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can deny him of that.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't. You don't give him the opportunity again to take that starting position in Cleveland. But then again, it's really just going to depend on what Jerome Ford does. You know, there's the situation in Cleveland really
It's
really
not
took
good.
a hit. It's not good. No, their offense isn't. I mean, it's not great. Deshaun Watson isn't the quarterback that we all thought he was going to be this year.
No, he's struggling.
He's struggling. So is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow needs to um, sit. He needs to rest. He needs to rest his calf before he ends up like Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, he definitely gives you the best chance to win if he's out there, but
Yeah,
it's if they were like 1-1, I would say sit him.
or
Like,
2-0. Yeah,
but they have a chance to go 0-3
yeah.
because the Rams are not playing bad at all.
No, they're playing really good football.
So I would say he probably needs to play if you want any shot at winning this game.
Yeah,
He probably needs to play, but who knows what's going to happen there.
I know we were going to talk about Joe Burrow for a second. Is it what quarterback? If you're looking at if you have to have a waiver wire pickup quarterback, who would we be looking at? Right now on the one I'm looking at, the league that me and you are in, the AFFL. Deshaun Watson's the first name that pops up there. Then Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Matt Stafford, Baker Mayfield are the top 5 guys on the waiver wire right now when it comes to quarterbacks.
I would definitely say Russell Wilson as one of them. He definitely, like last week, especially last week, he actually looked like his old self.
Yeah.
He had 3 touchdowns for over 300 yards. I think he had like 35 points or 32 points or something like that.
35 points. Yep.
He doesn't look bad. That team is just still trying to figure itself out. Yeah. I would also say, I know this is going to sound weird, and he might be gone, but I know like in some leagues he's not. So if he's not gone in your league, Jordan Love, he's tied for most touchdown passes right now with Kirk Cousins. I know it's only through 2 weeks, but he's thrown 3 touchdowns both weeks. So, and I know he's played Chicago and Atlanta, but Atlanta's defense wasn't awful. I mean, that was a pretty good game.
Right.
So I think Atlanta's actually come out a little stronger than what people thought. And they played New Orleans.
I didn't think that. I thought they were going to be a good team.
I didn't think they were going to be good. I thought they were going to be all right.
It was a hell of a win against Green Bay, that's for sure.
And they play New Orleans this week.
Yeah.
So if Jordan Love is there, that's someone. Right now he's number 2 in fantasy rankings as for QBs. So that's definitely someone I would look at. Matthew Stafford's not a bad one either, especially against the Cincinnati defense. They're not so hot right now.
Right.
I know Matthew Stafford is like 22. He's only averaging like looks like 14 points a game, maybe.
Yeah, it's 14 points.
They're on the move, and I think that Cincinnati it's probably not the defense isn't so great. So I would definitely say Matthew Stafford as well. Why Kenny Pickett's there? I would never touch Kenny Pickett in my life.
He's on there now. Nope. Go away. So go away, Kenny Pickett. Go away.
So
for me, so like I said, I picked up CJ Stroud in the 2 QB league I'm in. Dropped Justin Fields, so I have Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud as my 2 quarterbacks for this week.
That's just
CJ Stroud had a heck of a game against Indianapolis. They're playing Jacksonville this week, in Jacksonville.
That could be a little rough.
You think so?
Could be. It could be rough, but you just don't know.
Yeah, for me,
terrible.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not doing too awful. He's projected 18 points this week, between 1 to 2 touchdowns, about 245 yards is his projection for this weekend. They aren't looking that bad, the Houston Texans. Yeah, they're 0-2. They won a game. Did they win? No, they haven't.
They're pretty bad, but their offense is starting to find its way around.
Yes. You get Nico Collins and CJ Stroud's throwing the ball really well.
So Dalton Schultz,
who
Damian Pierce, Tank Dell. They have some weapons there.
Yeah.
Once CJ Stroud gets comfortable, I think the offense will be. He's still a rookie. He's only played 2 NFL games, so he's still gonna make rookie mistakes all year long. But for 2 games, not bad so far.
Right.
He definitely has a cannon on him, which everybody knew.
Yeah. On the
He
other
needs to
side,
find some weapons. So
right. On the other side of things, when it comes to running backs, there was a big news. By the way, I don't know if you saw it. Defensively, let's talk about this for Trayvon Diggs.
Mhm.
Um, had a incident in practice today during a one-on-one drill.
Yep.
He unfortunately tore his ACL today. How big of a loss is that for Dallas and for fantasy for fantasy football for the Cowboys
I mean,
defense
he's one of the better cornerbacks, but I still think they have the best defense in the NFL.
with even with him gone?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to like put the guy down. Don't get me wrong. He is one of the better cornerbacks. Like the year he had 11 interceptions or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Or 11 interceptions, 10 intercept, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
He still gave up 1,000 yards to opposing receivers too.
Right.
So it's not like he's like Darrelle Revis where he's getting like 7 interceptions and only allowing, 200 yards on like he got torched for 1,000 yards as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is a big loss though for them because that is their best cornerback, obviously. And it's just a leader and someone who's been there and someone you have confidence in, on that side.
Right.
So it is a loss, but I don't think it kills them by any means in any way.
Yeah.
I still think. I mean, a lot of these guys, even second stringers, they're in the NFL for a reason.
Right. That's true. That is true. Does it change though how you're looking at like playing them every week now when it comes to?
No, I'm playing them.
You're still playing them every week.
Oh yeah, Micah Parsons. That man is.
Yeah, he's good.
That whole linebacker core is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole front defensive line is ridiculous, and everything about that defense is solid right now.
Yeah,
I mean they are putting pressure on QBs like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So even though I think this is a big loss for them, I do think that there's still plenty enough talent there where I don't think it's like someone you have to like look at and be like, well, probably shouldn't play them this week. I would say play the Cowboys defense if you have them like I have them. I'm playing them until they give me a reason not to.
Yeah.
Or until it's their bye week. I mean,
who do they play this week?
They play Arizona. So
yeah, you're playing them. Yeah, that's a for sure start.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even questioning that.
Even with Diggs out, I don't see like a massive issue there.
No. I don't either. I don't see where that is. Where that's an issue either. But yeah, it's overall injuries are piling up this week. So just some things to keep an eye out for, some guys that you could look into. I'm picking up for this week. We got a couple questions here. I'm going to jump to this one first because I want to talk about Cam Akers and in the whole situation in Minnesota in just a minute. So Caleb, we'll get to your question in a bit. But let's jump to this one really quick. I'm not going to try to say that, but start to, I'm guessing Jerome Ford, Hall. Who would be Hall?
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall. Duh.
Kenneth Gainwell. I would say after last week, I would say it's pretty. I'm starting Ford and Breece Hall.
You think so?
Yeah, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, because DeAndre Swift should have the number one role, right?
He's got 178 yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say Breece Hall. I mean, with the touches he had in the first week, between 2 carries, he had 109 yards. Last week he only got 4 touches.
They're playing the Dallas Cowboys defense too.
But I understand that Dalvin Cook's there, but Breece Hall should definitely got more than 4 touches.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that's going to be an issue going forward because Breece Hall made it very well known that they lost. He said it. We lost because I got 4 touches.
Yeah, he even made like a little tweet with 4 footballs.
Yeah, so I would say that probably changes. I don't think it hurts Dalvin Cook in any way, but I would say Breece Hall definitely gets more than four carries a game.
He should.
Dude, for having an ACL injury coming back off of that, that first game he looked crazy good. So, and then obviously Jerome Ford, I would say until Kareem Hunt steps in or whatever happens, the coach came out, whatever his name is,
Kevin Stefanski.
He came out and said that Jerome Ford is the start. He's the lead back.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Obviously, I would take that. There's not a whole lot going on in the passing
Right.
game, and
Yeah.
they've always been kind of a rushing team. So I definitely say
Oh,
Ford and Hall.
yeah. Yeah.
I think Gainwell's. I just don't. I don't like doing Eagles running backs
No,
anyway.
and after last week, there's no reason why DeAndre Swift doesn't get a majority of the carries this week,
The man
especially
snapped.
with Gainwell coming off. I think it was a rib injury. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah. Which with running backs, rib injuries are all it takes is one hit and he's out.
very true.
Yeah. So the person saying here that they've had bad luck with running backs. You know, Saquon's going to be out a couple weeks with that. He's not playing tonight. I think this is going to be out up to possibly 3 weeks.
Yeah, but and then Kamara. I mean,
With
you
the
only got to
sprained
get
ankle.
through this week.
Yeah.
You only got to get through this week.
But here's the thing: is TCU or Rook? I guess I shouldn't say TCU anymore. But rookie running back, he was on TCU, drafted by the Saints. Keandre, or I think it's Keandre Miller, the running back from TCU, is back. He's playing this weekend, so it'll be a big pickup for the Saints when it comes to their run game as well. He's a pretty good guy. He's a pretty solid running back.
But I would say
transfers over to the NFL.
I mean, Kamara. I mean, whenever he's back after this week,
He should be fine.
he's definitely an RB1. It's his spot.
Yeah.
He's given ever since he's been with New Orleans. He's given no reason to not start him ever.
For sure. Yeah, and there's no reason why he's not the number one guy there in New Orleans. So yesterday. Was it yesterday already? It was yesterday, wasn't it? Cam Akers got traded.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the Minnesota Vikings, which opens the door for Karan Williams, which I picked up in almost every single league that I'm in. So that was a heck of a pickup. I'm glad I grabbed him when I did. Unfortunately, I lost the game because I did not play him. So that was a little disappointing. Just a little disappointing. But you live and you learn with that. Let's talk about Cam Akers going to Minnesota. So the deal is Cam Akers to Minnesota for a 2026 draft pick. Only if, and I saw this today, if Cam Akers gets 500 yards from scrimmage. If not, I don't know. I don't remember seeing what the rest of the deal, like what it entailed, but they'll get a 2026 pick if he gets 500 yards from scrimmage. I think that's fair, but we're looking at Minnesota. What this is kind of where I was going to go with it. What is your expectation for Cam Akers in Minnesota?
Madison has not been so hot so far.
No, Madison, I've never been high on Madison.
But also to his credit, at the same time, the offensive line is poopy caca.
The Minnesota Vikings have not been very good.
Yeah. And everyone's blaming Kirk Cousins, but this man is on pace.
Not Kirk Cousins.
Through 2 games, he's on pace for 6,000 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can, and you can ask Saf. I have not been a Kirk Cousins guy.
Yeah.
He chokes in a lot. He chokes in a lot of big games, but he is not the problem on this team at all. They virtually have no run game. The offensive line is mediocre, and the defense is atrocious.
The defense is bad.
It's like dumpsters being wheeled around out there. Yeah. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's the defense. I mean, that's bad. The defense is awful. I would say I'm going to go ahead and say Cam Akers probably takes over within like the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I just don't think I like Madison. I really do. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, but he just even with a mediocre offensive line, he hasn't really showed anything.
Right.
Like he hasn't like Dalvin Cook would have had 2 good games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he would have had like 150 yards rushing, but I think Dalvin Cook would have had 2 decent games. He wouldn't have had, 20 yards or whatever it was. That second game, 40, whatever. What Dalvin Cook wouldn't have had that. Yeah. And I don't think Madison's as big as a threat in the receiving game. that Dalvin Cook was, and I think Cam Akers can. Cam Akers had a pretty decent time in St. Louis,
And where?
or I said St. Louis, in Los Angeles with the Rams. I mean, he came back off that torn Achilles
Yeah,
injury in
last year,
five,
this
in
last year.
5 months.
Yep.
And the last 3 games, he rushed for over 100 yards. The last 3 games of the season.
Mhm.
That was after having a torn Achilles.
Right.
I just think that I don't know. They got rid of him not because of he's a bad player. Something happened in St.
No,
Louis.
there was something else. There had to have been something else that come
Yeah.
up.
There was something else. I think this is probably a pretty good place for him. He goes
Yeah.
to a good team. I know they're 0-2, but the Vikings are a pretty decent team. If they can get their defense figured out, they'd be a whole lot better. He
Right.
goes to a good team, and I honestly think it helps the Vikings like in a big way. I think he's faster. I think he has more agility. I think he's a little more shiftier than Madison, and I think
agree.
he's probably a better pass catching back than Matt. I think he probably adds more of a threat in the pass catching role as well, other than Madison.
Right.
So I think in like 3 weeks he probably takes over.
Think so? I could see that. I don't. I could see it sooner. I could see it within 2 weeks. Because I don't think he's playing this weekend. Just so you can, obviously you got to learn. You got to have some time to learn the offense and whatnot. But I don't think he'll play. I don't think he's dressing or playing this weekend for the Vikings. What is it? How much is it going to affect Madison? I think it's going to affect Madison a lot.
I think
I don't
unless
think
he
he's gonna get
shows
the
something, I think unless he shows something like this week, like plays like lights out, I think it probably hurts pretty bad when Akers does suit up. I don't think it's going to be pretty for him.
Probably not. I don't see that either. I don't see it being. Yeah, I just don't see it. I really don't see it.
But you've never really been high on Madison either. You didn't.
No,
you didn't like him when he was going to be the starting back there. So
yeah, I was never. There was a talk of that Madison was going to be the next guy in Minnesota and this and that, but he's been there for how long? 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah. I mean, he's had to sit behind Dalvin Cook too. I mean, that's not really a fun job because.
But he's still jumped in when I wouldn't necessarily say whenever Cook was injured, he was their go-to guy.
I'll give you that.
So, but my opinion, there's no reason why he shouldn't have just rolled with that RB1 spot and just taken off with it. Yeah, he's been in Minnesota for like 4 or 5 years now. There's no reason why not.
And he hasn't really done like anything.
No. He had like 2 games, that is 2 or 3 years ago, 3 games that were really good. And everybody's like, oh, look, it's Alex Madison. And he's not. Since that year, he hasn't turned out to be that superstar running back that I think Minnesota wanted him to be.
If we're ranking starting running backs, right? Not counting backups, just starting running backs.
Right.
Out of all 32 teams through 2 weeks, he's the worst in fantasy. He's 32.
Yeah.
He's first week he had 11 carries. Second week he had 8 carries. 34 yards the first week, 28 yards the second week, 13 points the first week, 4.9 points the second week. And the only reason he had 13 points the first week is because he caught a pass for a touchdown, but he only had 10 yards receiving. So, yeah, I would say if he doesn't play lights out against the Chargers, I would say Cam Akers probably takes over.
Yeah.
Within a couple weeks of like learning the playbook and starting there.
I agree. I think Cam Akers he'll flourish. He should flourish in Minnesota.
And I think if you're the Vikings, I think if Madison doesn't play lights out this week, I think I'm excited for Akers to get in there and play.
Yeah.
If you have no run game, I mean, all you're doing is putting pressure on Kirk, which he already has enough of that as it is.
Yeah.
So they need something to help it out. And I'm telling you right now, when it comes to winning, if that running back role is not being produced by Madison, he's going to get looked over.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Speaking of LA and of the Chargers, and we'll move into some boomer bust now because I like doing boomer bust. Boomer bust is fun. I like doing it more than starter sit. I don't know how we were last week on I think we did fairly well again. with our boomer bust. I need to start writing them down. That's what I need to do.
I know Devontae Smith was one of them, and
Was he? I know the Cowboys defense was one.
Both of those were correct.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I might have jumped the gun on, and I should have said this at the beginning of the show. I jumped the gun on DeAndre Swift saying he's not that good of a running back and he won't be in Philadelphia.
No, it's one game.
That one hurt though.
Yeah, it's one game, and Gainwell was out. But I would say he probably, with that performance, I would say he probably earned.
Yeah, I shouldn't have dropped him though.
You said you were going to regret it.
Yeah, and I did.
And you did. Yeah,
I absolutely did.
Yeah. Yep.
36 points later.
178 yards, 20-something carries, and a touchdown.
And I lost that week because of that.
Yeah.
Not because of that, but
it stung a little bit.
It didn't help. I also picked up a new tight end. I picked up Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid pickup this week.
As long as he keeps producing 100%. Yeah.
He's had 2 really good games so far.
Yes.
5 receptions, 6 targets, 56 yards, and a touchdown against Philadelphia. And then 6 receptions, 52 yards, and 1 touchdown against Miami. And they're playing the Jets this weekend.
I would say he probably has a pretty decent game.
Yeah. So he can be our first boomer bust. Hunter Henry, yes.
I would say
Hunter
boom.
Henry.
Yeah. I would say boom. I think it's probably around like the same game. I mean, he's not going to have like 100 yards receiving or anything.
No.
But the Jets defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think especially that front line, that like Quentin Nelson and all them, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Mac Jones, and he's still not the greatest quarterback. He's playing better than he has ever, I think. But I feel like Hunter Henry is a safety net.
Yeah.
A big tight end. Tom Brady was the same way. Tom Brady got in trouble. Who did he go to? Gronkowski or Edelman. He had 2 safety nets, but Gronk is that big red zone dude.
Yeah.
He was a tall guy, massive. Yep. You put the ball near him, Gronk's probably going to come up with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Henry's been like that his whole career, basically, even when he was with the Chargers.
Right. He's been that guy for them.
Tall guy, big dude, and if you put the ball around him, he's probably going to go up and get it. So I would say probably boom. I'd probably say he has right around the same game. The Jets probably going to put a lot of pressure on Mac Jones, and he probably looks for Hunter Henry quite a bit.
Yeah.
To be honest, because the Jets, they put some pressure on people. And Mac Jones is going to be looking to get rid of the ball. And I definitely say Hunter Henry probably has a boom game this week.
He's 2 for 2 so far this season in the boom category.
Oh, and against 2 decent defenses too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the Eagles, who came in as like the number 1 ranked defense. I feel like.
Right.
So he's had 2 good games against 2 defenses. So I'd probably say boom. He probably scores 15 points again.
I could see that. There's a 26% chance to score over 10.3 points. He's projected 8.3. So that's just a 2-point difference to boom. But still, yeah, I agree. I think he gets there this week, and I guess we'll find out. So remember that Hunter Henry for next week, to double check and see if he boom or busts. To see how well we do. Let's see here. We do have a question, so let's get to that question really quick, and then we'll jump back into super boom or bust stuff. So Super CMB challengers said just got offered T. Higgins and Kenneth Walker for CD. I guess a 1-point PPR. What do you think? And then they also come back and said offered Debo instead of Higgins. So you got offered Debo Samuel and Kenneth Walker for CeeDee Lamb.
So he got offered Debo and Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, Debo and Kenneth Walker. Running back wise, Kenneth Walker is probably not. I mean,
he had 18 points last week.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he didn't play very well. He didn't play very well the first game.
Right.
I'm actually looking at backup Kenneth Walker. He's 12th among fantasy running backs right now. 10 points the first game, 18.4 points the last game. He only had 43 yards. They're playing Carolina this week. That's a hard one because I like CD.
Yeah. That's tough.
Higgins and Walker for CD or Debo and Walker for CD. See, I like Higgins, okay? I like Higgins, but like what happens whenever Jamar Chase finally wakes up?
Or they don't have Joe Burrow throwing in the ball. That's a big difference between Joe Burrow throwing the ball and whoever the backup is in Cincinnati. That's how much we know about the backup in Cincinnati.
Like Higgins, like everyone. Oh God, I'm gonna say no to Higgins because he didn't score any points his first week. 0.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the Higgins and Kenneth and Walker one
He
for
had
CD.
28 points last week, but like he still had 0 points the game before that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was gonna do one, I would do Debo and Walker for CD. But like you have to ask yourself, CD's had one really good game. The game before that, he had 11. Okay. And then he had 25 points this last game. And I think Debo Samuel had 19. So, yeah, let me just make sure I'm right about that.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to look to see.
Debo had 22. So, I mean, not far off.
And they're playing the Giants.
They basically had the same. They basically had the same points through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
the difference is Kenneth Walker. So that's the case. You almost got to look at what running backs you have, and kind of evaluate that part of it. But the thing is if you make that trade tonight, I don't know if it's through ESPN. I don't know if you can play Debo tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think you can. And that
I thought that was a thing. I don't know if I think it might be different for different leagues and whatnot, but I know with ours, if you make a trade, they hit they're out or they can't play. They can't be on the active roster. I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't think they can be on the active roster. I might be wrong.
That's a hard this is something you need to ask is this something that you need?
Right.
Because we're talking about fair trades. This is pretty fair.
Actually, Debo Walker and CD are pretty much the same player.
I think you probably come out on the other side of it because you're getting a starting running back and a starting receiver for CD Lamb. And as the Cowboys, I feel like Debo is probably the more consistent player.
Yeah.
They use him more than just receiving. He's used for rushing as well. I know they have Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
He still rushed the ball 6 times last week.
Right.
But
I'd hit the trade button. I'd hit the trade button on this one.
Yeah, I like it. I would probably do it. But if it's something that you don't need, like if you're set on running backs, okay, if you have two solid running backs,
oh, my hair.
I probably wouldn't do it unless you're like looking for a good backup.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have two good running backs,
you got a flex spot.
Well, if you have two good running backs, basically you're looking at trading CD for Debo.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'd probably say yes. I
think that's one I do. That's one. I don't trade a lot. I don't do a lot of trades.
But also, like he said, you need to make sure that
right here
that he's able to play today, because I would feel really bad if you traded him and then Debo wasn't able to play. So then technically you're out a whole receiver.
Right. So. Yeah. But there's plenty of receivers out there that you could look at going to grab.
But as far as being fair, 100% a fair trade. I actually think you probably come out on the other end of it. That's just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would do that. I think I'd hit accept. I'm hitting accept on that trade.
Me too.
Dun, 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 dun. Let's jump back into some boomer bust. Thank you for your question. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And it's always a blast when we get those kind of questions.
I know.
You gotta dive a little bit deeper into things. It's fun. How about this one? How about this one? Chris Olave. Boomer bust this week. Playing Green Bay. He said he's pretty solid. Derek Carr is not, I mean, he's his typical Derek Carrness. Um, nothing insane, nothing crazy. Projected 15.5 points this week through ESPN. 27% chance to go over 25 points. 17% chance to go under 8.7. He's averaged 16.9 points per game so far.
I would say boom. I don't know if you watched the game last week. I don't know what that was about, but they wanted Michael Thomas to have the ball so bad for some reason.
Yeah.
Like they threw to him. Like I think there was one drive where they threw the ball to him, like through a couple drives, probably like 6 or 7 times in a row.
Right.
I don't know what the deal is with Michael Thomas wanting to have the ball, like why you're wanting to get him the ball so bad.
Yeah.
But like they basically neglected Olave that whole game last week. And he came off a really good week 1 performance.
Yeah.
So why they neglected him last week, I know I was upset because I have Olave on my other fantasy team.
Right.
And they just kept throwing to Michael Thomas like he deserved the ball. I mean, he with some of the ways that he's acted, I don't think he really deserves a whole lot of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I would say boom. I kind of feel like Olave is a better player there.
Yeah.
Him and Michael Thomas are kind of the same receivers, but I like Olave a little more than Michael Thomas.
I do too. I like Olave. I think he's younger. He's got that explosiveness that they need in a wide receiver in New Orleans.
Yeah, and I would say don't look for him to get neglected again. I think that probably got brought up. And film
That's what
class.
they said. Who said that?
No, if you watch the game, he was neglected.
Oh,
like they didn't throw in the ball till toward the fourth quarter. Basically, I think he had like 6 catches for like 58 yards.
Right,
and most of those came in like the second half. They basically neglected him any other time. I would say that probably got brought up at some point in time through the week so far. So I would say boom. If I had him, I'm starting him, which I do, and I'm starting him.
I am. Yeah, I have him starting this week as well because I think there's somebody that I had that's out or going to be out that I'm not playing. I'm going to do one more, get to one more, and then I think that's pretty much all I got today. I don't know if there's anything else that on my list of things that is going to talk about. So let's get to this last one, and it's a Houston Texan. And I'm not talking about CJ Stroud. Let's talk about Nico Collins. They're playing Jacksonville this week. It's a 25% chance to boom, so go over 21.8 points. But there's also has a 25% chance to go under 6.8 points. It's average 20.8 points per game so far, but he's projected 12.6 this week against Jacksonville. I'm going to say he goes over that 21 points this week.
Goes over 21?
I think he goes over 21, the 21.8. So I think he booms.
I think I don't think he's scoring 21 points.
You don't think so?
No. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad game.
Right.
But against Jacksonville's defense, and it's the Houston Texans, I would say probably not. I would say he probably doesn't score 21 points. I could be wrong. Yeah. I definitely think he scores at least 15.
Yeah. So you think he just hits his projection?
Yeah. I don't think he scores over 21 points.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
I wouldn't have thought it this far either.
Yeah.
He didn't play a whole lot. He didn't play great last year.
Well, in second year, yeah.
Yeah, and they had a lot of bad quarterback play last year, obviously.
Yeah.
And with CJ Stroud, brand new, learning the playbook, I wouldn't think that he would do this well so far through 2 games, and he has.
Mm-hmm.
So right. I'm going to say he doesn't hit 21 points, but I still think he has a good game.
Okay. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, he's again with CJ Stroud though, that guy. I think he's going to be the better. As much as we talk about Anthony Richardson and how well he's going to be, I think he's going to be a pretty solid quarterback in Houston. I think what they're building there, it is a good thing, and I think Nico Collins hits that mark this week again and gets over that 21 points.
I've said CJ Stroud was the best quarterback in that.
Yeah.
In that whole draft, I like Anthony Richardson, but I just think CJ Stroud's probably the best one.
Right. Yeah. No, I like it. I think it's good. So those are our 3 guys. 3 guys for this week. Hunter Henry. We talked about Hunter Henry a little bit. I think we should boom. Hunter Henry against the Jets this week. Um, who was the one guy? Oh, Chris Olave. He said boom against Green Bay. And then the last one we talked about was Nico Collins, and I said boom. Dylan says he'll hit his projections, which is fair. I think that's a fair compromise there. One more question, and then we're gonna get out of here today because it just came in.
Should I start or shit? Najee Harris. Oh God.
Yeah, I'm sitting Najee Harris.
And who do you have? I wish I could like look at people's fantasy teams. It just depends who you have like as a backup running back.
Yeah.
If you have a nobody, then you're going to have no choice but to play Najee. But
that's fair.
But if you have an option, I mean, he hasn't really given a reason to play him.
Right.
And I don't blame it on him. That offense is just bad.
Yeah.
Offensive line is bad. Kenny Pickett is awful.
Wait, easy now.
Kenny Pickett's pretty bad.
He had a really good preseason. That's not shown up so far in the regular season.
Justin Fields had a really good preseason. That hasn't shown up thus far. So
fair enough.
Kenny Pickett's pretty bad.
Fair enough.
And it can't be Mike Tomlin's a great coach. I just think Kenny Pickett's bad.
And Jalen Warren is a pretty solid running back.
Yeah, but
he's fast.
To Kenny Pickett's for him to. I mean, the offensive line's not very good, and nothing's really clicking in the offense.
No, nothing.
Calling is just not good either. So
yeah, I think again, it's hard to say start or sit without looking at who you have in like in your flex spot. If Najee Harris is your flex guy, no, he's sitting. You find somebody else to throw in there.
Yeah, but if Najee Harris is like a starting running back, if you have someone else that can do well,
yeah,
I would probably say start that guy. But if you don't really have anyone that could potentially do what Harris does,
right?
I mean, you're kind of left with no option but to start Harris,
mm-hmm.
which I'm sorry for that.
Yeah,
because he has not lived up to any potential whatsoever. He had that one
his first year.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah, it does suck. But yeah, Jalen Warren's a pretty solid guy. They're already talking about stashing him on some of your rosters for later on in the season if Najee Harris doesn't pick up his play. But again, for me, John, if I was looking at starting or sitting him, I look to see who is on my bench.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a flex guy, you find somebody to swap him out with. And I would not play Najee Harris against the Raiders this week.
No.
The Raiders defense isn't bad.
No, but the Pittsburgh offense is just really bad.
Really bad.
Houston's running back is my backup. Harris. Houston, Texas.
Harris. Which Harris? Harris. Gosh, who's Harris?
No, he's saying Harris is a starter, but he's saying Houston, Texas running back is his backup. Dameon Pierce is his backup.
Ooh. They're playing
Yeah, I mean, oh God. They're playing Jacksonville too.
I would do that over Najee and
I'd probably just start Harris. Dameon Pierce is right now in fantasy. He's got like 5 points between both games. Like 5 points the first game, scored 5 points the second.
That's rough, man.
I would say the potential for Harris is more than Pierce.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would say if that's all you have, I would say you have to play Harris.
Yeah. If that's the case, yeah, I would play Harris.
Yeah. The potential with him is so much more than Dameon Pierce right now. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go find you a running back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You'll get one. Don't worry. I believe in you. Go make a trade. Go get the guy from LA if he's there.
I do want to give you 2 fun facts before we end.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yep.
So Tom Brady played what, 23 years?
Yep. Something like that.
Did you know Tom Brady in his 23-year career has never taken a snap for an NFL team? So he's only played for 2, right?
Uh-huh.
Where he was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs ever. ever.
That's okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Pretty wild.
That's wild.
It's pretty wild. And also the last, I mean, some of these are some that people already know, but I found a bunch of them, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to share. This one is just a college one, and it's probably my favorite stat ever, just because I know this is a fantasy football show, but I can't help but like put it out there anytime I can. The 2001 Miami Hurricanes, if their offense never took the field, they would have still had an 8-4 record. If their
defense was just that good.
Yeah, if their offense never played a single snap, they would have still won 8 games. They would have won 8-4.
That's crazy.
And then also just this one for embarrassment. Justin Fields at 24, or not Justin Fields, Justin Jefferson. So what he's played, is this his third year?
Yes.
Yeah. He has more receiving yards than any Chicago Bear wide receiver has recorded in the Bears' entire existence. Yeah. That would hurt to say. I wanted you to know that.
The more you know. I had in my head, I had a fantastic dad joke that I was going to tell you at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to tell myself to do that next week.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, so that's how I'm going to start every show with you.
Please don't do that.
It's a dad joke. Yeah, that one was good this weekend. Last weekend.
It was okay.
It was a knock. Who's there? Maya who? Maya haha. That's a great one.
Yeah. We're done.
It's a great one.
We're done.
A great one. We're done. Are you sure?
Yeah, we're done. Okay.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Make sure you catch us next week. Go subscribe. You know the deal. What to do. Hit up In the Clutch. You get 15% off, 10% off. Wrong code. All caps. Variety Sports. Promo code. So all caps, Variety Sports, get you 10% off anything in the store. So go do that. Go hit subscribe. Go like. Do what you do. Share it out to your friends. Share it out to whoever you need to, whoever you want to. Keep sending in those questions, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, this is Brandon, CEO of the Variety Sports Network. Thank you again for watching tonight's show. Best way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and hitting the notifications so you don't miss out on the next show right here on the